Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Kelly Green Hour. As football season is finally here, the Philadelphia Eagles have reported to training camp, and they're set to open up with their first practice tomorrow morning, and we are mere about 16 days away from their first preseason game against the Cincinnati Bengals at Lincoln Financial Field. I'm your host, LG Harrell, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Connor Donald. Connor, it's been a long off season, which is weird because it's been short for the Eagles, being that they were the last team to play with the Chiefs. But we've made it. Now we can finally let's get through the rest of the summer, which I hate because it's too hot. And let's get down to September 4th when the Dallas Cowboys get to come to Lincoln Financial Field to see us unveil our second Super Bowl banner. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. I still think that, of all the people who listen to this show and podcast, you're probably going to be one of the few that hates winter.
I love winter.
Hates summer, sorry, and the heat.
Oh, yes.
I think I'm in Canada, you're in Philly, but we're not like that far away. So we probably have very similar winters. And I just hate winter. I just hate it. I get that. I can agree that summer can sometimes be a little too hot, especially with all these like weird heat dome things that have been happening lately. But I mean, I'll take 30 degrees, which is close to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, over minus 30 degrees, which I frequently get up here in Canada. So, but I am excited for football season. So nonetheless, snow coming means football is coming, which means I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I hate with a capital HATE the summertime. It's too hot. Maybe it's because I'm a bigger guy. Also, I played football, so like summer camp sucked. I hate it. I hated having to be out in full pads and 100 degree heat. But look, we're inching ever closer to the opening of the 2025 season. Before we jump into before we jump into the schedule, we're going to give our very early schedule prediction. Let's touch base on a couple of things. First, last Friday, the Eagles received their Super Bowl championship rings, and my God, were they a beauty. The first ones, the ones from 2017, the Super Bowl 52 champions, I think that was more conservative. It wasn't big. It highlighted the one Lombardi trophy because it was the first one in team history. This one, they had the two Lombardis, the wings, and the thing I liked about it with the wings popping out, the pushing of the button, I think that represented the tush push. You push the button, the wings come out. It says, it says you can't be great without the greatness of others. It had a Sirianni touch to it, tough detail together. I like that it had each player's individual signature. I had the 145 points that they scored in the playoffs. We can go on and on and on, but this ring was freaking phenomenal. And boy, I wish I was a bajillionaire so I can afford one. Like, it's crazy. Like, I think the last one, if you wanted to get a legit one, was like $10K. This one, at least double that. It's crazy how spectacular it looked and all the detail that went into that ring.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty amazing to see year over year how much more detailed and how much crazier these rings get, because every year it feels like teams just try to like one up each other with their ring design and stuff. And like you said, it felt like the first one was more subtle because it was their first time. And now that you've had it, it's happening more, kind of like the Chiefs and stuff. You got to do something more because now you've had the first taste of that first one, and the second one's got to be better, and the third one's got to be better. And I mean, I don't know how you can top this ring. I mean, this ring was absolutely a thing of beauty. And like you said, I agree. I think that's like a $25,000 ring without a doubt. We were talking about it before we came on the air, but it's really great. And I mean, it's, to me, another concept that was wild was seeing that picture of, what is it, 4 guys who got their second ring. Only 4 players were from that same championship team, first Super Bowl championship team. It's always really cool to see that.
Brandon Graham, Lane Johnson, Jake Elliott, and Rick Lovato.
Yep.
It was definitely cool to see. And Jake Elliott posted the picture with both of them next to each other, and you can just see the difference in size. And you know what? You were talking about what the third one can look like. Let's just win it again this year, and let's find out in a year. Let's find out what the third championship ring will look like. It would be freaking awesome just to have that opportunity to see. Another thing, like I mentioned at the outset. Oh, actually, as always, before I skip past my traditional open. Before we jump in any further, as always, follow us on Twitter at Kelly Green Hour. Follow Connor on Twitter at Connor10. Follow me on Twitter at LGHero54. And follow the Eagles Pinpool Network on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, wherever you get your podcast at Eagles Pinpool Network. And if you're joining us live, let us know your thoughts on this upcoming season, training camp, the rings. Let us know your thoughts on anything. And Connor and I will definitely be sure to touch base on that. So, Connor, as I mentioned, Eagles reported today, all 90 guys are there. Unlike the Commanders with Terry McLaurin's, disputing his contract, wanting a new contract. Jerry Jones talking all this stuff about Dak and Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs. All is right in Eagle land, obviously, being the defending Super Bowl champs. Everybody that wants a contract has a contract. Everybody has arrived to training camp. And, it's been, I always say no news is good news. So the quietness of this offseason was obviously a good thing. You don't want anything crazy. You don't want, whether it be a contract dispute, whether it be bickering, whether it be, somebody getting in trouble with the law, whatever it may be. But what are your thoughts on, this training camp as it's about to first tomorrow at 10 a.m.? What battle, what are you most looking forward to seeing?
Well, first of all, I definitely love your comments there. I mean, the Giants are quiet, but I mean, the Giants aren't going to be very good, so that's okay. We don't need to talk about them. But yeah, the Commanders fumbling the Terry McLaurin situation when Terry McLaurin, arguably outside Jaden Daniels, was probably one of their, if not their best player on the field last season. He fought through a lot of bad quarterback play to finally get to the point where he had Jaden Daniels as his quarterback, and he showed he is worth a new contract and he's worth a contract extension. And the Washington Commanders would rather just give contracts out to 30-plus senior home citizens over their own teams.
They're the oldest team in the NFL.
Exactly. Oldest team in the NFL. It's a crazy concept. So I feel like hopefully they do right by Terry McLaurin and lock him up, because he's been through some of the doom and gloom of the Redskins. I think he was with the Redskins when they were the Redskins, or when they were just the Washington football team. He's been through some of the doom and gloom that led to finally being on the up and up with this Commanders team. And it's not like the receiving staff behind him is very good. So it's not like they're waiting to pay someone else down the road in that regard. I mean, Jerry Jones doing Jerry Jones things is fantastic. You just love to see it. Like Micah, you could not ask for an owner to drive your price up more than he is with Micah Parsons, because every time he opens his mouth, Micah Parsons adds a zero or hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to that price tag that he's asking, and rightfully so. That it's almost disrespectful at this point. And I know Jerry Jones is kind of flirted with the fact of not managing, but I don't think the guy could back down from being the face of this franchise. And until he stops being the face of this franchise, we're gonna love it here in Philadelphia, because that's what we like to see. But beyond that, to the more important things for the Philadelphia Eagles, I mean, it's so great that all 90 guys are there. There's no disputes. The culture is that Nick Sirianni has put in place is there. It's present. It's prevalent. We know, last offseason, maybe there was some things with Hassan Reddick. This offseason, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was saying some things, and maybe the Eagles got out from under him at a good time. It's tough to say. He did walk back.
And he showed up to the ring ceremony. He said that if anybody had an issue, or if anybody came up to him, he would apologize, because he just said it out of emotion. He's an emotional guy, and that's one reason why I like him. Like, obviously, the two times that he's been on the Eagles, they've gone to the Super Bowl, winning one. I'm still in shock. I can't believe they traded him, and hopefully it's not a mistake. I don't feel great about our safety position right now. And obviously if he was here, that might be a different story. But like he liked me, and it's crazy because when he was on the pivot and he was talking about how when he got traded, his son said, "Does that mean we can't wear green anymore?" Now, I don't know how true that is, but like, that's kind of like that's one of us. Like we love wearing obviously Eagles green, Kelly green, midnight green, whatever it may be. So like, I mean, he fit this city. Now, obviously, his first stint here, somebody stole his car. So I mean, I'd have a little iffy thing. I'd be a little have a tiff to it when that happens. But yeah, he just said it out of emotion. So I've kind of have no issue. And like again, he walked it back. He said if they win six, they can win six more. They deserve to win six more. And he talked about Lane Johnson being his big brother, and he hates that he said it to let him down. Like he has respect for players on this Eagles team. Now, obviously, not all players have respect for the front office type guys that handle the contracts. And I think once, because it happened after Saquon got his contract extension, he probably asked for more money. They said no, and then that's when they decided to part ways. It was obviously a money thing, I think. And, it's unfortunate because the Eagles are going to have to, and even Chauncey said it after the trade initially went down. Jalen Carter's got to get paid. Nolan Smith's got to get paid. Eventually, Q and Coop are going to have to get paid. Reed's probably going to get paid, unfortunately. N'Kobe, maybe, who knows, but like Jordan Davis, maybe. Like the Eagles are going to have to give out, like right now, the Eagles have given out the least amount of money or the second least amount of money to their defense. Well, that's going to change soon in a year or two. Where right now, majority of the money is on the Eagles offense, but as the changing of the guard with the very young defense and those guys are going to start getting paid, that's going to change where most of the money may be on the defensive side of the football. And then the offense, we're going to start seeing changes a little bit. So I understand, like him wanting more money because he was probably underpaid. And the Eagles did right by Saquon, but Saquon did have a 2,000-yard season. But we'll see what happens. I definitely am going to miss CJGJ just because I like the way he plays.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna miss the way he plays, and I agree with you. I tend to think he's very, very emotional, and like you said, there definitely could be a money conversation to be had because I don't think there was much guaranteed beyond getting to September 1st and getting that $15 million option. Beyond that, there wasn't, I don't think, a ton of guaranteed money left in his contract, and that's probably why he was sitting there and he was saying, I want that money guaranteed. I don't want to wait for September 1st type of situation or these options to kick in. So I mean, I can see that, and I can agree with that, and I mean, at the end of the day, they've built a culture. They want this culture to stand over everything else because it has been something that has been a definitive like winning point for them when they've been able to make it work. I mean, there was a 10-game stretch and then the start of last season where it felt like things were falling apart. But Nick Sirianni, something was going right at the first half of that. And then of that season 2 years ago. And then something got a lot better after the bye week again this past season with the culture and everything. So it's good to know that everybody's bought in and that everybody's showing up no matter what. I mean, at this point, I guess not many people could have, issues or take issue with their contract, but eventually like next off season, it'll be interesting to see how Howie manages things through this season and the early part of the next off season when that window actually opens to start extending some of these guys. And if they're going to put money over the team or money over culture, the team culture and stuff, it'll be interesting to see what happens then. But that's an issue for down the road and discussion points for throughout this season and the end of next season, hopefully after we repeat as Super Bowl champions. But what I'm looking out for, there's three positions I'm most interested by, and that's safety, edge rusher, and defensive lineman. And the reason that I'm so fixated, like you would think, edge and defensive line, why would you be so worried? Nolan Smith's coming off this incredible year. He's probably going to become this 10-sack player. Jalix Hunt was flashing some great stuff in the playoffs. You got Jordan Davis, Moro Ojomo, you got Jalen Carter. But after those five names, it becomes a very iffy situation. Moro Ojomo played, similar amount of snaps as Milton Williams. When you put the pressure on to play more snaps, can you continue to be as effective when you're playing more snaps? And how light they are behind them in interior defensive line is another point of concern for me because they have Ty Robinson and they have Thomas Booker essentially. And then after that, Byron Young, who they clearly value quite a bit because they protected him through the back end of last season and made sure no team could get to him. And then they have Gabe Hall, who stayed on their practice squad and they signed. but beyond that, there's not a whole lot there. And we know Jordan Davis, unless his cardio takes another massive leap this offseason, he's a guy who really can't play more than about 50% of snaps.
So did you see the Eagles put out, like the hype stuff with videos and them in their uniforms? Did you see Jordan Davis? Now, obviously, this is their greatest or best shape of their lifetime this season, but he looked in really good shape. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to contribute to his cardio or whatnot, but I mean, they like him, obviously. They traded up for him. They gave him a fifth-year option. So, I mean, I expect big things from him. Look, he's not the pass rushing defensive tackle. That's Jalen Carter. That can be Moro Ojomo. He's going to be there to help against the run, and that's what we need him to do. Like, anybody that's sitting there saying that he needs to go out there and get 5 sacks, 10 sacks, not happening. If that's your expectation, you're going to be let down. That's not what he's here for. They like him for a reason. Fangio likes him for a reason, and I think he's going to have a really good year this year.
Yeah, he's a situational interior defensive lineman. He's a run stopper. He is a man eater because he can eat up a couple blockers just by himself because he's such a big bodied guy, and you can't let him get through because if he gets through, he's going to make a play. He's going to make a play, and running backs hate to see Jordan Davis and go up against Jordan Davis. And my concern isn't like he looks to be in better shape. He looked to be in better shape during the off season last year. What does that translate to as an increase, in playing time and his ability to be able to be out there, or will he be doing more for the team? It'll be interesting to see, but it's not that I have anything against the starters. It's solely to do with what's behind these players. We know that they love to rotate the players a lot. Jalen Carter is about the only one out of those 5 starting guys that I named who I trust to go out and do 90% plus of snaps and is going to be effective in those 90% plus of snaps. So it's more to do with the depth behind them at interior defensive line, especially there, because I feel like you almost need to keep 6. And I know that when we last talked, we were pretty much both. I think you ended up keeping 6 and I ended up keeping 5, but it's an interesting situation. And I think we saw they signed Josh Sykes today, who's coming over from the UFL. So you can see that they're bringing some more bodies in. They're going to see what they can get at the interior defensive line. And then, of course, they bought, I can't even say his name, but the former Cleveland Brown defensive edge that they brought in. So you can see that they're focusing.
Ogbo.
I'll let you do it.
Koronko.
I'll take it. I'll call him Ogbo. So they got Ogbo, and so you see that they're doing things, and he's a very effective situational edge rusher. He's a guy who's playing around 40-50% of snaps and being a semi-effective in his ability to do that. So it'll be the depth is what's going to interest me there. They got some good pieces like Azeez Ojulari, Joshua Uche. They got some guys behind there that could make the edge room, that could surprise in the edge room. But right now, my comfort level is a little less than optimal. And then safety, it has nothing to do with Reed Blankenship as much as we may give him flack. He's a starter. Obviously, he's going to play 85% plus of snaps. He's the S1 on this team. It's Sidney Brown. It's Andrew Makuba. Who's going to win that safety 2 battle, which I think is the biggest camp battle that there is going to be, because when you look up and down, there's not a whole lot of camp battles. I know the discussion's there for right guard, but really I think it's Tyler Steen's to lose again this year. It was his to lose last year and he got hurt. I feel like he lost it more because he got hurt rather than how he was playing, because I think he was still running away with it even before the injury. But that's going to be the safety that's going to be the position battle for me to watch. Sidney Brown's former 3rd round pick. Makuba's a former 2nd round pick. There's some decent value to those picks. They want to see these guys be successful and they want to put them to war. They got Andrew Makuba locked up, so now it'll be really interesting to see what happens. And then depth-wise there, we know Vic Fangio loves Tristan McCullum. There's a lot of talk about Andre Sam, really high-end special teams player. Then they gave all the most UDFA dollars of all their UDFA class to Max and Hook. So it'll be really interesting to see what they do. I can't see them keeping more than 4, so it means there could be some really tough decisions to be made there. But I
I
mean,
still think Justin Simmons, but that's just me.
and then Adam joining, welcome. He says, I'm not a fan of Sidney Brown. Probably said it here before. I think you said it here on our last episode when we were doing a way too early 53-man prediction, because we said the same thing. We see very similar in Sidney Brown and Reed Blankenship. You can't have two of those heat-seeking missiles on the field at the same time and expect them to be the most effective safety room. Whereas Andrew Makuba, he's a ball hawk. He's got really great football IQ. I have Andrew Makuba winning the S2, but that doesn't mean that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to see it that way and feel it that way. So those are the three main ones that I'm watching because, like you said, we have so much tied up in on the offensive side of the ball financially that you can easily see the 11 starters who are going to trot out there, and then you can fight over Jahan Dotson, the backup wide receivers who are going to see 10% of targets next season. But at the end of the day, I think the biggest things to watch is definitely going to be just a whole like offensive line depth, and then those three defensive positions.
Yeah, so we spent a lot of more time on that than I thought we were going to. I still think Justin Simmons is going to be the second safety, but we'll see what happens. All right, so we wanted to go over our way too early 2025 schedule prediction for the Eagles. The Eagles went 14-3 last year en route to winning the Super Bowl, tying a league record with 18 wins with the 4 playoff victories. And their schedule is a lot tougher this year. So the one thing I'll say on the outset is if the Eagles might not have a better record than they had last year, but doesn't mean they're worse than they were last year because the schedule is a lot tougher. They're going to be playing a lot of very good teams. The Chiefs, obviously, the Rams, the Packers, the Lions, the Chargers, and the Bills and Commanders. So, I think the Eagles are playing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 teams that made the playoffs last year. 10 teams. It's crazy that how many times the Eagles have or how many playoff teams the Eagles will be facing this year. Before we jump into week 1, text says, will you pick the Eagles to beat the Bucs? We will see when we get to week 4. But we always, I hate it. We've played in Tampa, I feel like 5 straight years, and we always play there early when it's at its hottest. I was considering going to that game, but I hate the summer. I hate the heat. I didn't want to be in 100-degree weather with 100% humidity. So I'm going to Minnesota in October, but I'd much rather be in cold weather. I want to go to the stadium where the Eagles won their first Super Bowl, so that's what I'm doing this year. I'll be in Minnesota in October. We'll see what I feel about that game when we get there. All right. As the defending Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles open the season on Thursday night, September 4th, at home, where they will raise the banner in front of Jerry Jones, Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons, and the fraudulent Dallas Cowboys. Connor, I will let you go first. Who do you have winning that game?
I have the Eagles winning this game. For me, I just spoiler alert, I have the Cowboys going 8-9. I don't think the Cowboys are very good, and I don't think they picked the right
version. They have the Temu version of Nick Sirianni at head coach, by the way.
And that's my thing. I don't think they hired the right head coach. That was the point I was about to make. Was I don't think they hired the right head coach. I don't think he's going to be a good head coach. He's been a perennial assistant coach for 22 years before he finally got a head coaching job, and that was just because Jerry Jones wanted to show off his big old balls there and say, watch me do what you guys all don't think I'm gonna do. And he went out and he did it. And I don't think they're a very good team. I think they got a lot of disgruntled players. I mean, I don't even have them being a 500 team. I can see them being 9-8. I can see them being 8-9. I don't know if they can make it to 10 wins. When I was going through and picking wins and losses for the Cowboys, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't know how. I get it. When Dak plays, he's usually good, but he's getting older, and some of the injuries he's gotten are. I mean, they're not like mid injuries; these are like legit injuries. So, and then we'll see what happens if they pay Micah, and if they pay Micah Parsons, I don't know how they're going to field a roster. It's going to have to be a bunch of vet minimum guy. You're paying Dak $60 million a year. CD's getting paid over $30 million. Mike is going to make over $40 million. It's crazy, and Like by waiting for Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, and TJ Watt
TJ
to get
Watt.
their contracts, like his money is going up. I honestly, I don't even know if he. Knowing Dallas, I don't know if he's going to be there, like, especially with the way Jerry's talking. But I have the Eagles also winning the first game against Dallas and when they unveil the banner. Just know this, and I think I said it early part of last year. It's not going to look pretty early on. Be prepared. We remember what happened the Thursday nighter back in 2018 against Atlanta, and that was Nick Foles. It wasn't Carson, and they looked really bad. They got booed off the field at halftime. It might happen again. Like, we're savages. It happens. But I do think the Eagles are going to come away with the win.
Well, just look at the start of last season. We went 2-2, and it's like the world was the media had the world falling apart around the Eagles. There was debate about if Nick Sirianni was going to make it to week 6 as a head coach, for crying out loud.
Yeah. So week 2, a rematch of the Super Bowl, and we get to go to Kansas City again, where the Eagles are going to Kansas City for Super Bowl 59 rematch. I actually have the Eagles taking an L. I think, the Chiefs are going to do everything in their power this game to win it. So I think the Chiefs are going to prevail with a close victory over the Eagles, and the Eagles will fall to 1-1.
I got them taking an L too. I agree with you. I think the Chiefs are still a really good team. They'll fight tooth and nail with the Eagles, and I feel like the first 3 or 4 weeks are going to be rocky. They always are, as people are just getting comfortable and, they adapt and start to be different. Like Nick Sirianni doesn't want to do the same thing. So, and you don't get to try the new things during the preseason because the starters aren't playing. So they're going to start to try some of the new things early on and see if they can make those things work. And that's going to probably lead to some mistakes and some early fumbles, not literally, but figuratively. So I have them taking an L there too.
Quickly, do you think the Chiefs are going to run away with the AFC West this year, or do you think it's actually going to be competitive?
I kind of think the Chargers are a bit overrated. I think it's just more the Harbaugh thing.
Yeah,
I'm not
that
prepared.
Herbert keeps getting rated over Jalen is mind.
Yeah, like he's a near top 5 quarterback, and I think he only has 1 or 2 playoff appearances, and one of them he got absolutely slaughtered in. So I don't know why
he's 0-2. They were up 27-0 against the Jaguars the one year, and
yep.
He lost that game, and then he threw 4 or 5 picks against Houston.
Mm-hmm.
It might have been.
Yeah.
So he's
and then like I think I don't mind the Broncos. It's so hard to ever rule out a Sean Payton led team, and they seem to be taking steps in the right direction. And then the Raiders are taking steps in the right direction, but I think the Raiders are multiple years away. I mean, I don't think they really have their franchise quarterback in the building, so you can't really win going off of without having that position really addressed. No.
All right, let's go to week 3, where it's an NFC divisional rematch at the link against the Los Angeles Rams, and the Rams are talking. They say they have this game circled on their calendar. Who you got winning?
I got the Rams winning in this one. I have us going back-to-back losses. It was hard because throughout this, I went back and forth on a W or an L on a handful of these games. I could have easily had us going, like you said, very difficult, but I easily could have had us going 10-8. So I guess, spoiler alert, I don't have us going 10-8. But there's a world where I could have seen us
10-7.
10-7, sorry. Like there's a world where I could have seen us get into 10-7. So I mean, it's very, very hard to pick some of these games because, like you said, this is a way more difficult schedule, and some of these teams did get better than the teams that we faced last year or in the past with them. So,
I have the Eagles winning this game. All the Rams fans and people saying, well, if it didn't snow in the playoff game, well, we went to LA last year and Saquon ran for over 200. Like, let's be real. I don't know if Saquon's going to run for over 200, but they're still going to run. And I mean, Jared Verse is going to come in here and talking his talk, but I don't know if they improve their run defense. The Eagles can still run the ball. I don't think early on in the season that Saquon's going to get the touches that everybody anticipates. I think they're going to slowly build him up to by the end of the year, like he's going to be rolling. Will he hit 2,000 yards? Probably not. 1,500 yards? Definitely possible. But we'll see. But I have the Eagles winning and improving the 2-1. So after 3 weeks, I have the Eagles at 2-1. You have the Eagles at 1-2. Week 4 at the Buccaneers. In Tampa, September, gonna be hot as hell. I have Tampa winning that game again. For some reason, Todd Bowles has Jalen in the Eagles' number. Don't know why. Hopefully, I mean, I know the Eagles did win there 2 years ago in the regular season. I think it was also week 4. It was an early season matchup. The Eagles did win. But I have the Eagles falling to the Buccaneers in this game and falling to 2-2.
And Tech agrees with you. He says Bucks equal multiple L's. I actually have us winning that game, but this is where I debated: do I think the Rams? Do we lose to the Rams or do we lose to the Bucks? So these games to me could be interchangeable, but I don't think we beat the Rams and the Bucks. I don't think we beat both of them in the back-to-back weeks. But I do have the Eagles winning.
All right, let's go to week 5, and the Eagles are hosting Sean Payton and the Broncos. Who do you have winning this game?
I have us beating the Broncos. Like I said, I think the Broncos are headed in the right direction. I don't love Bo Nix. I think he's your typical, he's your Sean Payton quarterback. He's going to do really good things with Sean Payton. But if it was probably 95% of other coaches in this league, he probably wouldn't be capable of doing it. I say 95% because if he went to Tampa with Kyle Shanahan, he probably would have some success there as well. Just feels like it. That type of quarterback. So I have us taking
San Francisco.
Yep, San Francisco. Yep. So I have a W against Broncos.
I also have the Eagles beating the Broncos, and this is where I kind of have them starting a run. Just like last year, it was after the bye last year, but heading into their bye, I have the Eagles going on a little run here. So they get the Broncos with a W. Then week 6, they're at the Giants on Thursday Night Football. This is where the part of the schedule where they face the Giants 2 times in 3 weeks, just like at the end of the year, we face Washington 2 times in 3 weeks. Makes zero sense to me. But I have us demolishing the Giants on Thursday Night Football, and the Eagles are going to improve to 4-2 through 6 weeks.
I like this. Tech says Fangio over Nix. Definitely agree with that point. For me, I agree on this point. I have us going on a run too from that Bucks game right to the bye week. I don't have us losing again. So I have a 5-game stretch, beating the Giants twice and beating the Vikings.
Same. I'll be at that Minnesota game. I am going to be in Minnesota in October to see the Eagles face the Vikings. I'm looking forward to it. It'll be my first time in Minnesota. I'm going to boo when they do that stupid skull chant. Or maybe I'll do Foles, do a Foles chant. Who the heck knows? I am looking forward to, Justin Jefferson against Quinyon Mitchell, Addison against Ringo or DeJean or wherever it's going to be. JJ McCarthy. I don't think JJ McCarthy's beating us. You never know.
And that's my thing. Like, I think, JJ McCarthy, he's new, he's got a really great coach, but JJ McCarthy, this is his first off season where he's actually going to get to put in significant work with the Minnesota Vikings, get to know this offense and really get entrenched in NFL football games. And I think through the first probably half of this season, it might be a little bit of a bumpy ride for JJ McCarthy. And the Minnesota Vikings, they're a team that always seems to find a way to win and always be competitive in that playoff hunt. But I do think, like you said, this is where the Eagles get comfortable. This is a stretch where they got some games that they can win from the Rams right through to the bye week. They can win like we have it 6 out of these 7 games, because this feels like that type of stretch where they're getting warm, they're getting comfortable, they're through the rust of the early season, and I think that they go on a stretch, and I think the Vikings are just in there. We go to Minnesota, but the Vikings are just in our schedule at the wrong time, especially with JJ McCarthy getting things rolling.
Yeah, I don't know if Minnesota's going 14-3 like this year.
No, I don't think they're doing that. No.
I do think it's the NFC North is a Lions Packers division, and the Vikings are the third team, and the Bears are. I don't like when we get to them. I don't really like Caleb Williams, but we'll see. So we both have the Eagles beating the Giants back at home. Going into the bye, we have the Eagles at 6-2, feeling pretty good, sitting pretty at 6-2. After the bye, the Eagles are in Green Bay on Monday Night Football, another playoff rematch from Wild Card Weekend. I want the Eagles, the first possession, to run the tush push every play. Don't care. Run it straight. Just tush push it straight down the field. Take up 15 minutes of the first quarter. Score a touchdown because you're being at that crybaby's place. I have the Eagles beating the Packers, and I don't think it's going to be a close game.
I want to see it that way too. I agree. But I have us coming out of the bye and losing to the Packers. But these Packers Lions games could be interchangeable for me as well because I currently have us beating the Lions, but I can see a world where we come out, beat the Packers, lose to the Lions. This is another 1-2 stretch that I don't see us winning both games back to back.
So
Tech agrees. Tush push on 1st and 10.
Look, we know that Sirianni is petty. And
absolutely.
With the Packers putting that stupid thing up where they wanted the tush push banned, which it was probably more than the NFL, but using the Packers as the team to do it. Yes, the scapegoat. Nah. I hope we run the tush push 17 times that game.
I also have a feeling that game that they're gonna run Hurts a lot just to show that it's not he isn't just that good because of the tush push. They're gonna do QB draws and some QB sneaks, and they're just gonna. I feel like that's gonna be a game where they're just gonna run all over the place.
One thing we really haven't talked about, and maybe get a quick Petula. Are you worried about him calling plays for the first time in the NFL? Like, should that be a concern? Or he's been here long enough. He's been with Sirianni long enough. He's been around Hurts long enough that it should be a seamless transition from – he's not going to be as good as Kellen Moore, but, like, he'll be better than Brian Johnson, which isn't hard to say. Do you have issues? Do you think that it will be a seamless transition to Petula and his play calling for Hurts and this offense?
I don't know. Like, you see people say that like this is Jalen Hurts' offense, and he's essentially making decisions at the line based on does he like what his play caller called or not. So I mean, will it be seamless? 100% not. There's definitely going to be some bumps in the road. It'll be interesting to see how he calls plays. I hope they give him full reign through the preseason to call every damn play and get that rust off and get things figured out. I know it's with your backups, but you got to get comfortable. And, at the earlier part of last season, we didn't know who was actually calling the plays, whether it was Nick Sirianni or whether it was Kellen Moore, because right after the bye week, things changed quite a bit. The offense changed quite a bit. So it'll be interesting to see, but hopefully
they just went to a run-heavy game. It was still more.
That's true. It's true.
And they just went to a run-heavy game. And, like, exactly. I do feel like that they're going to throw the ball more this year, which wouldn't surprise me. I mean, with the receiving talent you have and with the amount of carries that Saquon had last year. But we'll see what happens. And I think that they're going to come out early throwing it, and we'll see what happens. But I still think you can't go away from the horse that, like, got you to the Super Bowl last year. Now, Jalen was great in the NFC Championship game and great in the Super Bowl. I hope that he continues to show that, and I think he can. I have no fear with Jalen Hurts being able to command a game and being called upon to win a game if need be.
Texas, will the new BOC have independence from Nick Sirianni? And that's the thing that's going to intrigue me the most is, you didn't even really let Kellen Moore take the reins right away, and it led to all that humongous outburst in the bye week and what was going on. And I know that they moved to a run-heavy offense and stuff, but you could tell that other things seemed to change in that offense. Obviously, having the run game go made the offense or made the passing game go better as well. But I mean, that's one of the concerns that you have to have is like, is Nick Sirianni learned from the early part of last season, the later part of the season before that he's just going to let his offensive coordinator go with it and see what happens. I hope so. I think he should. I mean, you guys hired this guy out of a confidence that he can do this job. So hopefully that they give him that independence to do that job the way that they have the confidence in him too.
I mean, I think he will. Sirianni has financial security now. has a contract, so he doesn't have to worry about it. Now. Obviously, they fired Doug after 2 years after winning the Super Bowl, so things could, in theory, go bad. But I don't think. I think that this is the leadership of what the team is now. I think it's like from obviously owner, GM, coach, quarterback. I don't think that they're going to have that stumble. And a lot of the players, I mean, Alabama, Georgia, like they come from winning cultures. They know how to win. But jumping back to the schedule, you have the Eagles beating the Lions. I actually have the Eagles losing to the Lions. This is I struggled on that one. I really think we can win that game. But I think that that can be an NFC Championship game preview there. Week 12, we travel to Texas to play the Cowboys. I have the Eagles beating Dallas. They'll sweep them this year. What do you think?
I have Dallas winning this one, and there's always like that game where the Philadelphia Eagles should win, and they're at this point in the season they're rolling, and this felt like the game because I don't think the Cowboys are going to be an 11, 12, 13 win team. I think they're going to be closer to an 8 or 9 win team. So the loss is going to hurt, but it's a division rival as well. It's rare to see these sweeps happen with the Dallas Cowboys, though. I pretty sure they did it last year. So I know that, it's possible. I'm not
They
saying it's not
outscored them
possible.
70 something to like 12.
Oh yeah, we crushed them last year. But that also could be you could be reaching a point with the Cowboys where this could be one where I could be changing my tune as the offseason rolls on because we're going to probably brush these up again, the week before the regular season kicks off. We did it last year where right after the preseason we brushed our records up, re-looked at our record predictions because you never know, player injuries, things happen, things can shift quite a bit. This could be one that I revisit in 6-7 weeks time when we revisit these and I say, yeah, it's definitely going to be a win for the Eagles because I could see the things in Dallas going south so fast. I just can see it. I can hear it because you hear it almost daily from some of the players and from Jerry Jones that things have a strong tendency of going the wrong way in this season for them.
Yep, and Dak will probably be hurt by that time. Week 13, Black Friday against the Chicago Bears. Who you got?
I have the Eagles winning this one. I agree with you. I'm not like totally bought into the Chicago Bears. I think
I don't
the
know
NFC.
if Ben Johnson's going to be a good coach.
Yeah, and that'll be interesting to see too. Like Caleb Williams as a personality, it seems like Ben Johnson as a personality. It seems like it's going to be interesting to see can they find a way to connect together because they don't have the same personality. You can tell Caleb Williams is very, we're going to say different. And then you can tell that Ben Johnson's like, I want to win. This is a winning culture. I come from the Dan Campbell, coaching tree, and that coaching tree is intense and prides itself on winning and just being a really aggressive, strong football team. And that just doesn't scream Caleb Williams to me. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. I have the Eagles also winning that game. Again, they have some pieces on offense, obviously. DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Cole Kmet. They have some weapons. I don't think their offensive line is very good. You're going to have a couple of former Eagles. TJ Edwards is going to be coming back. DeAndre Swift is going to be coming back. So we'll see what happens. But I have the Eagles winning that game. Week 14, the Eagles on a couple of day rest go to Los Angeles to face the Chargers on Monday Night Football. And again, this is going to be two teams that this could be like that Eagles-Ravens matchup last year, where like your two physical teams trying to run the ball down each other's throats. Look, Herbert has all the talent, but as I mentioned earlier, I think people overrate him. Like he has all the talent in the world. He just can't win, and he shrinks in big moments. I have the Eagles going to LA. And let's be honest, it's probably going to be 70% Eagles fans for that game on a Monday night, all the way across the country in LA. Eagles beat the Chargers.
Yeah, I have the Eagles beating the Chargers too. It's no hate towards Herbert. I think he deserves to be ranked top 10. It's just don't put him ahead of guys who have won Super Bowls and who are winning football games, key football games as well, because there has to be an element of winning matters in this league. And I know that, some of the biggest debates around Herbert and Hurts and why Hurts is lower than Herbert is because we'll look at the weaponry around Hurts. Hurts does not. I'm going to preface this by saying, like, Hurts definitely wants the best, but it's not like he goes and demands and gets everything that he wants. How he built
I
this
feel
team.
like I feel like Hurts is one of the only quarterbacks that it's he how do I want to say this, that because his GM does his job well, it's a down it's like a deterrent for Hurts
He's
because
like he's
all these
his winning and his good QB play is a byproduct of a general manager actually doing their job effectively.
yeah,
Just doesn't make logical sense to me as a reason to rank him lower. He's winning football games and winning the key moments and the key games that matter. And to me, you don't see that from Herbert. And if you give Herbert the right weaponry, does that mean that Herbert actually does do it? Well, that would mean that the Chargers would have to put the right weaponry there. It's not like they haven't been given the opportunity to do that. They kind of muffed on the Quentin Johnston pick because you it could have been a good pick, but it also could have been a bad pick. You could have tried to find a more sure thing pick or hoped for a more sure thing pick or go through free agency or make a trade like the AJ Brown trade to Philadelphia. Like you just have to get the right people in house versus just taking these random shots over and over again.
yeah, like you said, he's had weapons. He had Hunter Henry at the beginning of his career. He had Keenan Allen, Mike John. Like they had weapons and just still couldn't win. Now, granted, Brandon Staley is not that great of a coach. I mean, he had Kellen Moore. Got Kellen Moore fired. Well, and Brandon Staley. Dak Prescott also got Kellen Moore fired. Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl with Kellen Moore. Let's be honest. All right, Week 15, the Eagles host the Raiders. Geno Smith comes to town. Pete Carroll, the new head coach of the Raiders, comes to town. Who you got?
I got the Eagles beating the Raiders. The Raiders are headed in the right direction. I think they had a really bumpy road culture wise and coach wise for the last couple seasons, but I think they're right in the right wrongs or trying to right the wrongs and starting to put this team in a better direction. I want to see the Raiders find some success. They're one of those teams that I've never found a reason to strongly dislike them, but they just make all the wrong decisions, it seems, or they just the character, the culture. They just need the right culture to get the characters in line. And it just feels like they also take chances on people who have red flag character issues as well through draft picks and stuff. So hopefully they right their ship, but not this year, especially against Philadelphia.
I have the Eagles winning that game. I think that it won't be close. Max Crosby's really good.
I feel bad for Crosby.
He signed all these guys that you claim that want to win and then sign big contracts with loser organizations like Myles Garrett, Crosby. Like Micah Parsons is going to sign a big contract with Dallas, a loser organization. What are your thoughts on Ashton Jeanty? Like you're big in the fantasy football. Is he like, does he have a chance to be a top 5, top 8 running back this year as a rookie?
I think so, and I think the Raiders are going to make it happen. I think they're going to make it their mission to use him and abuse him.
Sure? Because I've heard Pete Carroll say like they're not going to put it all on him. It's going to be like a 2-back system at least to start, and maybe he'll work his way into it. And remember, Chip Kelly is the offensive coordinator.
And Pete Carroll does love to run with multiple running backs. So, but I mean, you did not hopefully invest that highly in a running back just to bury him to like a 60-40 split with the rest of the running back room. Like you should be getting them up into the 70-75% range for the output for that running back room. And I think he's great. I think he's got elite talent, but how the team is going to use him, how the offense is going to use him is what's going to be really interesting to see. But could he end up like Bijan Robinson, who is in a way underwhelmed, but not in no part due to not having the talent, but more in part to the coordinators and the offenses that have been in place? I could definitely see that being a downfall for Ashton Jeanty. But then it comes to say, why bother investing that high of draft capital and running backs if you don't want to use them the way they should be used, if you see them as an elite franchise altering player?
We're talking about Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly traded LaShawn McCoy for Kiko Alonso.
I agree. The the Kyle Pitts, the Bijan Robinson, the Ashton Genty, some of those picks, their usage and how things have ultimately ended up going in their NFL career is not the way I think it would have gone if they ended up in many, many, many different organizations' hands.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, be interested to see how Ashton Genty does. Week 16, this is where these final 3 games could determine how the NFC East wraps up. At the Washington Commanders. Now, everybody thought coming in the year 2, CJ Stroud was going to be good, and he wasn't. He wasn't as good as he was his rookie year. A lot of people are saying this. A lot of people have Jaden Daniels ranked ahead of Hurts and top 5 quarterback in the NFL already, best quarterback in the NFC already. Look, he was good last year. There's tape on him now. And we saw what the Eagles were able to do against them in the end. And he wasn't the issue in the NFC Championship game, but still, the Eagles were able to kind of figure it out a little bit. I have the Eagles taking an L in this game, but I don't think Washington is going to be as good this year as they were last year. I think you're going to see a lot more. I mean, they're the oldest team in football, and they just signed 40-year-old Von Miller. Now he's not 40, but like you get what I'm saying. They got even older. Signing Von Miller, we'll see how he is. But I mean, Zach Ertz, Austin Eckler, Bobby Wagner. We'll see what happens. But I have the Eagles taking an L in against the Commanders. How about you?
And Tech agrees, and I agree. They're taking an L in this game, and this is actually setting up for me. Week 18 mattered. So although you know what, the Washington Commanders are, you know, an older team and things, I do think that they're actually going to end up doing really well. I actually have the Eagles and the Commanders finishing with the same record, and it ultimately coming down to the second tiebreaker because I have a split in the season series. So just, you know, a little bit of a leak, but to what my week 18 might look like. San Diego 2019, welcome back. Washington taking a step back. Luck won't be on their side this year.
They beat the Bears on that fluke play. And again, you have an unhappy Terry McLaurin. So we'll see what happens. But I agree with you. I actually do have them split. And I don't think week 7 or week 18 is going to be for the division, though. I think the division will be wrapped up by then. Spoiler alert. So we'll see. Week 17, though, at the Buffalo Bills, which could be a Super Bowl preview. I wanted to go to this game, but the fact that it's Christmas weekend in December, going to Buffalo, I'm not taking my chances of there potentially being like 6 feet of snow. As much as I love snow, I don't want to shovel out the stadium and kind of get stuck up there. I wish this game was in October because I would be going to Buffalo instead of Minnesota. I really, really wanted to go to Buffalo for this game. But I think that this has a chance to be a really, really good game. Like, it's going to be a lot of fun too. If you remember the game in Philly, what was that, 2 years ago? I think one of the last wins the Eagles had before that they ended the bad 6 week stretch to end the 2023 season when Jalen won the game in overtime with the touchdown. I think this would be a really good game, but I think the Bills pull it out, unfortunately, this time. But it's going to be a great game. 2 guys that are going to be considered for the MVP, and Hurts and Allen, but a chance for this to be a Super Bowl preview, but the Buffalo Bills will come away with the win.
Yeah, I have them losing to the Bills too, which really intrigues me by the fact that you say the division will be wrapped up, is that you really put the Commanders to be that bad next season that it's not going to matter 3 weeks out from the end of the season. Like, they're going to beat us
the Commanders
in week
will be
16
10-7.
and it won't matter, is what you're saying.
The Commanders are going to finish 10-7. Dallas is going to finish 8-9, 9-8. Giants 5-12. The Eagles, I have the Eagles winning the division with a 12-5 record. They won't. So they won't have, the number 1 seed, which is fine. They don't really need the number 1 seed. If there's a team that can travel anywhere to win, it's them. They won't have the number 1 seed, but they're going to, for the first time in 20 years, a team is going to win the NFC East in back-to-back years. So Eagles win the NFC East with a 12-5 record. And you have the Eagles at 11-6. Is that for the division?
I do. Yes. And say Texas Saquon will drag us to a win over Buffalo. This is one of those games that can be so unpredictable because right now we say Buffalo wins over Philadelphia, but if you're telling me there's 6 feet of snow coming, I'm giving the W to the Eagles and Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley to carry them on their back with their legs. But at this very point in time, I just assume a neutral situation and roll with it, even though we know it's going to be freezing cold in Buffalo no matter what in that game. It's going to be freezing cold, but do we have the benefit, funny to say, that to have snow? Because with snow, I think that gives the Eagles a benefit and a W in that game.
San Diego says, as much as I love my Eagles, I just can't predict them to win the division this year. 21 years in a row is crazy to go against. It is, but like, I don't know. This team, just the way they're built, the leadership they have from ownership to GM to head coach to QB. I mean, the one thing that could be the downfall would be injuries. And they have been very fortunate. I mean, Jacoby's going to be probably starting the year on PUP. I think Jahad Campbell's playing week 1, probably starting week 1. There was all this talk about him potentially starting on PUP. No, he'll be out on the field tomorrow in practice. I think he's starting, and definitely, if not starting, definitely going to be on the field week 1. And teams are going to be mad that they let him fall to the Eagles because you have Zach Bond and Jahad Campbell that can pretty much do the same things on the football field. Good luck. Cooper DeJean, who's going to be on the field 110% of the time. If they're in a base, he'll be if they're in two corners out there, he'll be playing corner. If they go to nickel or dime, maybe he'll be playing safety. And if Makuba or McWilliams or somebody else can play in the slot, like it doesn't matter. Like there's going to be so much speed and athleticism on the field for the Philadelphia Eagles. Man, it's going to be so much fun watching this defense. While they're young, while the defense is going to be young, I think that Vic Fangio, they like to be, unlike that soft Dolphins team, they like to be coached hard. And this is what they're going to get. And, Jalen Carter's out for a payday. He could potentially become the highest paid, defensive player in the league next year if all goes well for him. Obviously, Jordan Davis looking for a contract. Nolan Smith looking for a contract. I expect big things from these young guys. The one thing you mentioned it early, second safety, I still think it's going to be Justin Simmons. We'll see what happens. They're going to want to see what they have with these young guys. And hopefully Azeez Ojulari, Josh Uche, they can help, get after the quarterback because that's where I think the depth lacks for this Eagles team, to be at the edge position and getting after the quarterback. But I can't wait, man. Training camp starts, and again, I have the Eagles winning the NFC East with a 12-5 record. You have the Eagles winning the NFC East with an 11-6 record.
Correct. And then I also have Week 18 mattering because I think the Commanders are going to be right there. As hard, and I know it can feel hard to believe, but and then after that, like I still think the Commanders are good. I still think the Commanders can be good. How good that is to be seen, but I think they can make 11-6 happen. They have a slightly easier schedule than the Philadelphia Eagles, and that might be something that they can take advantage of. Just for fun, I had the Cowboys at 8-9, like I said earlier, and I did the Giants at 4-13. The Giants made the wrong decision running it back with the
Are they going to start
manager
when do
and
they
coach.
Start Jackson Dart? When do they start Jackson Dart?
I mean, I think you start Jackson Dart right away. I think you have to. You put your eggs in that. I know they're going to start it, but I know you don't want to rush quarterbacks into it, but like you're kind of given the two guys you just brought back an opportunity to extend their window by letting them take Jackson Dart in the first round and then saying, well, we can't play him this year. We got Russell Wilson. We're going to play him next year. I feel like the move for Jackson Dart was made as Brian Daboll likes this guy. Brian Daboll's going to use this guy. And I feel like we're going to see Jackson Dart really early on. But it'll be interesting to see. I don't think he's going to be that good. I don't think any of the quarterbacks out of this draft class are going to be that good. Hence the reason it was kind of notoriously seen as a poor draft class and not one to really put your marbles in on. And surprise, the New York Giants push your marbles all in with a quarterback in this class. Who would have guessed it? Loser organizations, as LJ would say.
Continue to do loser things. And that's why the Jets are the Jets, the Giants are the Giants. The Bengals are the Bengals. Like, do
Which is
dumb stuff.
crazy for the Jets too, because they just re-signed to massive deals two of Joe
Saucing.
Douglas's biggest picks at his time, and then they let Joe Douglas get away to Philadelphia, where he's an advisor. He's like the director of player personnel, and then the advisor, like a straight advisor to
He's good at drafting. He's going to
Howie.
help Howie with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. How Joe Douglas got put in a tough situation because we know Woody makes the calls on a lot of things, or Madden, Woody or Madden and his sons, however you want to see it in New York, make a lot of the calls, and a lot of the decisions that were made and things that went down in New York. I do not believe were Joe Douglas's decisions, because we saw what Joe Douglas can do. We saw how good of a player personnel guy he is. And there's a reason he came back to Philadelphia and got such a prestigious job title, because Howie sees it the same way.
And look, a lot of people like just the way that the Eagles organization is run. There's a reason why players stay here after they retire, and reason why a lot of players want to come back. Like Connor Barwin, and a couple other players, Brent Selleck, like find a way to stay in the organization. Brandon Graham's going to find a way to stay in the organization. That when you're treated well and whatnot, you're going to want to stay around, and that's why a lot of players like to stay in Philly after their playing days over. All right. That was a fun little exercise. Like you said, probably the week before the regular season starts, we'll take a look at it again and see if we want to make any changes and whatnot. Obviously, with any injuries that occur, any changes to rosters. But training camp open up 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. The Philadelphia Eagles will be on the practice field for the first time heading into the 2025 season. We are 16 days away. August 7th is the first preseason game against the Cincinnati Bengals at Lincoln Financial Field. Looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to this season. I can't wait to see the banner raised. The rings were freaking awesome. I love how they incorporated a lot of things. The tush push, I'm calling that the tush push button. I don't care what anybody says. I don't know if anybody has said it, but to spread the wings out, it's the tush push button. That's all I got to say about that. Final thoughts.
I can't wait. I can't wait to be back. Like, this is probably we probably will do a little bit of training camp reaction next week. Like, this is probably the beginning where we're back almost once a week. And then during the season, of course, we're going to be here twice a week for a preview and a review show. I can't wait. I'm just so glad football's back.
Definitely glad. Thank you all for tuning into the Kelly Green Hour. As always, follow us on Twitter at Kelly Green Hour. Follow Connor on Twitter at Connor10. Follow me on Twitter at LJHero54, and follow the Eagles Pinpool Network on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, wherever you get your podcast at Eagles Pinpool Network. For Connor, I'm LJ. Thank you for tuning in to the Kelly Green Hour.